The council chamber stretched out like a massive bowl, carved from crystal and metal. Thousands of seats circled the central platform where speakers addressed the Galactic Council. Ambassador Defiant stood at his designated spot, his dark suit perfectly pressed, his expression calm. Around him sat representatives from hundreds of alien worlds. Some had scales, others had feathers, and many looked nothing like anything found on Earth. The air hummed with translation, devices converting thousands of languages into something everyone could understand. Defiant had just finished mediating a dispute between two minor species arguing over mining rights on a distant asteroid. Both sides seemed happy with his solution. High Counselor Thexera, an ancient reptilian whose scales shimmered like polished emeralds, nodded approvingly from her elevated throne. Humanity had earned its place here through patience and clever negotiation, not through conquest or threats. For 30 years, humans had proven themselves valuable members of the galactic community. That reputation was about to be tested. The chamber's lights dimmed slightly as new arrivals entered. A delegation of Vargesh warriors marched toward the central platform. They were massive creatures, each standing nearly 3 meters tall. Thick armor covered their gray skin, and their faces bore the scars of countless battles. They moved with the confidence of predators who had never known defeat. War Master Greichther led them. His forearms ended in clawed hands that could crush steel. His eyes, cold and yellow, scanned the chamber with obvious contempt. When he reached the speaking platform, he did not wait for formal recognition. He simply began talking. His voice a deep rumble that made the translation devices crackle. The Vargesh Dominion demands expansion rights into the Outer Rim sectors. His words were not a request. They were a statement of intent. We have identified suitable worlds for colonization. The current inhabitants will be given time to evacuate. Defiant felt his stomach tighten. The Outer Rim sectors included 3 human colonies. New Sol, New Busan, and Terra Nova were home to 12 million people who had spent decades building new lives under alien stars. These were farmers, teachers, engineers, families who wanted nothing more than peace and prosperity. He activated his speaking chip. High Counselor, if I may address the War Master's statement. Those territories include sovereign human worlds protected under Council law. We cannot simply abandon our people. Greichther turned to face him. The War Master's laugh sounded like grinding stone. Ah, the human diplomat. I have heard of your kind. You talk and talk, hiding behind words because you have no claws, no fangs, no real strength. He stepped closer, towering over Defiant. Your colonies will be ours. You can negotiate how many days we give you to run away. Several alien ambassadors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Ambassador Valkyra, an insectoid being whose chitinous body gleamed like polished copper, watched the exchange with concern. She had worked with humans for years and considered them friends. But even she wondered how humanity could possibly stand against the Vargesh military machine. Defiant kept his voice steady. War Master, surely we can find a peaceful solution. The Outer Rim contains many uninhabited systems with rich resources. We would be happy to help identify alternatives that serve both our interests. We want those worlds. Greichther's tone left no room for discussion. Your alternatives mean nothing. The strong take what they need. The weak surrender what they cannot defend. Which are you, human? High Counselor Thexera intervened. This council exists to prevent such conflicts through dialogue. War Master Greichther, I urge you to consider Ambassador Defiant's proposal. Surely peaceful coexistence benefits everyone. The Vargesh leader snorted. You have grown soft in your old age, Counselor. The galaxy respects strength, not endless talking. He pointed one massive claw at Defiant. 7 days. You have 7 standard days to evacuate your colonies. After that, we take them. Anyone who remains will be removed by force. The chamber erupted in confused murmuring. Some ambassadors looked shocked, others seemed resigned. A few species who had themselves been conquered by the Vargesh in the past simply looked away, remembering their own defeats. Defiant activated his device again. We request a formal vote on this matter. Under Council Charter, All territorial disputes must be resolved through established procedures. Greichther laughed again. Vote all you want. We will do as we please. Your procedures cannot stop warships. Your laws cannot deflect missiles. He looked around the chamber. Let this be a lesson to all of you. The Vargish Dominion takes what it wants. Dexera called for order. The Council will convene an emergency session to address this crisis. Until then, both parties are instructed to avoid any military action. She looked at Greichther with cold eyes. That is not a request, War Master. It is Council law. The Vargish delegation departed, their heavy footsteps echoing through the chamber. As they left, Greichther glanced back at Day 1 with an expression of pure contempt. 7 days, human. Start running. After the session ended, Valkyra approached Day 1 in the diplomatic quarter. Her mandibles clicked nervously. I am sorry, my friend. The Vargish respect only power. They see diplomacy as weakness. Your colonies face grave danger. Day 1 nodded slowly. I know, but perhaps they do not see the complete picture. He pulled out a small encrypted communication device. Thank you for your concern, Valkyra. I value your friendship. After she left, Day 1 returned to his private quarters. The human embassy section of the station was modest compared to those of older, more established species. He sat at his desk and activated a secure channel that bypassed all council monitoring systems. The signal traveled faster than light, jumping through relay stations until it reached Earth. A voice answered almost immediately. Earth Defense Command, Secure Line 7. Day 1 took a deep breath. This is Ambassador Day 1. Authorization code Sierra Tangos 7 Alfa Romeo. I need to speak with the Joint Chiefs immediately. Moments later, 5 faces appeared on his screen. These were Earth's top military commanders. Men and women who had spent their careers preparing for a war they hoped would never come. General Park spoke first. Ambassador, we have been monitoring the situation. What are you requesting? Day 1 looked directly into the camera. The Vargish have given us 7 days. They believe we will simply abandon our people. They think humanity is weak because we choose peace. His voice hardened. I am requesting authorization to show them how wrong they are. The generals exchanged glances. They had waited 3 decades for this moment, hoping it would never arrive but preparing for it nonetheless. Admiral Chen leaned forward. Are you certain there is no diplomatic solution? I've exhausted every option. Day 1's jaw tightened. They want war. They think we are easy prey. If we back down now, humanity will be seen as targets forever. Every predator species in the galaxy will think they can take what they want from us. General Park nodded slowly. Then we show them what humans really are. Authorization granted, Ambassador. Protocol Reaper is activated. Defend our colonies. Show them the warriors we have always been. The screen went dark. Day 1 sat in silence for a long moment, staring at his reflection in the blank monitor. For 30 years, humanity had worn the mask of peaceful diplomats. That mask was about to fall away. He typed a single, encrypted message to the human. Fleet stationed near New Sol. 2 words that would change everything. Authorization granted. New Sol looked peaceful from orbit. The colony world spun slowly beneath the stars, its cities glowing like strings of pearls against the dark continents. Farms stretched across fertile valleys. Rivers carved their way through mountains. It looked like a place worth fighting for. Captain Jiwoo stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, watching the planet through the massive viewing screen. Her ship was the pride of Earth's fleet, a vessel that combined cutting-edge technology with weapons most aliens had never imagined. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, their faces calm but alert. Communications Officer Mingy looked up from her console. Captain, we are receiving evacuation requests from the colonial government. They want to know if we can transport civilians to safety. Jiwoo shook her head. Tell them to maintain normal operations. No evacuations. We are not abandoning New Sol. Mingy hesitated. Captain, the Vargish fleet has assembled at the border. Long-range sensors show over 200 warships.
How big for us?
20 to 1. Let them think they have the advantage. Jiwoo's voice was a scold. Numbers only matter if you understand what you are fighting. Back at the Galactic Council station, Daewon continued his diplomatic performance. He appeared before the emergency session looking worried and desperate. Other ambassadors watched with sympathy as he pleaded for intervention. Some species offered words of support, but no one was willing to challenge the Vargesh militarily. Velcro approached him during a recess. "My friend, you must consider evacuation. The Vargesh have never lost a war. Your people could resettle elsewhere. Pride is not worth millions of lives." Daewon appreciated her concern, but his response was carefully measured. "Maybe we are exploring all options, but running sets a dangerous precedent. If we abandon our colonies now, where does it end?" She clicked her mandibles sadly. "I understand. But sometimes survival requires difficult choices." What she did not know was that Daewon had already made his choice. While he played the desperate diplomat, human military forces were moving into position throughout the Outer Rim. Years of careful preparation were about to pay off. Colonel Hannah crouched in the shadows of an asteroid field, her stealth suit rendering her nearly invisible even to advanced sensors. Around her, 50 Special Forces soldiers waited in perfect silence. They had deployed from ships disguised as civilian transports, taking positions throughout the star system. Her helmet display showed enemy fleet movements. The Vargesh were moving with arrogant confidence, their formations loose and their guard down. They expected no resistance. That assumption would cost them dearly. Status report. Her voice was barely a whisper across the encrypted channel. Team Alpha in position. Team Beta ready. Team Gamma standing by. The responses came quickly, each team confirming their readiness. Hold position until authorization. Hannah checked her weapons one more time. Every piece of equipment had been tested 100 times. Every soldier knew their role. They were ready. On New Sol's surface, Dr. Youngsu walked through what appeared to be a simple mining facility. But the equipment around him was far more sophisticated than it seemed. What looked like her processors were actually targeting computers. What appeared to be storage tanks contained missile systems. The entire facility was a disguised weapons platform. He had designed dozens of these installations throughout human space over the past 20 years. Each one looked completely harmless, just another piece of industrial equipment. Together, they formed a defensive network that could devastate an invasion force. His assistant, a young engineer named Taeyong, looked nervous. "Doctor, are you certain these systems will work against Vargesh ships? Their armor is supposed to be nearly indestructible." Youngsu smiled grimly. "Their armor was designed to stop conventional weapons. We do not use conventional weapons." He activated a display showing the weapon system's capabilities. "Trust me, they will be very surprised." Aboard the indomitable Minji was monitoring Vargesh communications. The enemy was broadcasting openly, making no effort to hide their plans. They discussed their attack strategy like it was already a victory celebration, Captain. "I am reading their complete battle plan." She could hardly believe what she was seeing. They're not even encrypting their military channels. They think we cannot possibly resist, so they see no point in secrecy. Giwu studied the intercepted data. Their arrogance is a gift. Feed all of this to tactical. I want detailed analysis within the hour. The Vargesh fleet moved closer to the border. War Master Grichther stood on his flagship's command deck, watching the countdown to invasion. Around him, his officers prepared for what they assumed would be a quick and easy conquest. "Have the humans begun evacuating?" he asked his intelligence officer. "No, War Master. They appear to be continuing normal operations." "Perhaps they do not believe we are serious." Grichther laughed. "Or perhaps they are simply too weak to organize an evacuation. No matter when we arrive, they will scatter like frightened animals." He turned to his weapons officer. "How many human ships are in the system?" "Sensors detect approximately 10 warships, mostly small vessels. One larger ship, possibly their flagship. Nothing that poses a threat to our fleet. Perfect. We will crush them quickly and move on to the next colony." The War Master looked at the countdown timer. 6 hours until we cross the border. Prepare all weapon systems." Back at the council station, Velcro managed to arrange a private meeting with Daewon. She handed him a data chip. "This contains Vargesh fleet movements and command structure. I should not be giving you this, but I cannot stand by and watch your people be slaughtered. Day One took the chip carefully. Thank you, my friend. This may save many lives. He paused. When this is over, I hope you will still consider humans as allies. She studied his face, noticing something in his expression that she had not seen before. It was not fear, it was certainty. He seemed strangely calm for someone facing invasion. Day One smiled slightly. We are not as helpless as we appear. The Vargish are about to learn an important lesson about humanity. Velcro wanted to ask what he meant. The Day One was already walking away. The 7 days passed. The Vargish fleet assembled at the border, massive and menacing. Grekthur gave the order, and 200 warships began their advance into human territory. They moved in loose formation, weapons armed, shields at minimum power. They expected no real resistance. On the Indomitable, Jiwoo watched the enemy fleet approach. Her crew was at battle stations, every system ready. Her finger hovered over the authorization key that would activate Protocol Reaper. A message arrived from Earth Defense Command. Just 3 words that she had been waiting to hear. Authorization confirmed. Engage Jiwoo, turn the key. All across the star system, hidden weapons platforms came online. Stealth units moved into attack positions. Defense network that humanity had built in secret for 20 years activated in perfect synchronization. She opened a fleet-wide channel, her voice cold and clear. All units, this is Indomitable Actual. Protocol Reaper is now in effect. She paused, then spoke the words that would echo across the galaxy. Show them what humans really are. The first Vargesh ships crossed into human territory expecting an easy victory. What they found instead was hell. The mining station on asteroid K447 suddenly transformed. Panels slid away, revealing missile launchers and energy weapons. Within seconds, a devastating barrage tore into the advanced fleet. Vargish shields, designed to stop conventional weapons, shattered like glass against human ordnance that bent the laws of physics. 12. Vargish warships exploded in the first 30 seconds. Their crews did not even have time to send distress signals. On the flagship's bridge, Greichther stared at his tactical display in disbelief. What is happening? Where did those weapons come from? His sensor officer frantically checked his instruments. The mining station's War Master. They are not mining stations. They are military installations. Hundreds of them throughout the system. Before Greichther could respond, Colonel Hanna's Special Forces teams launched their attack. They had been waiting in the asteroid field, invisible to Vargesh sensors. Now they moved like ghosts, their small attack craft darting between the massive enemy warships. Hanna's target was a Vargesh command ship. Her team approached from beneath, where the vessel's sensors had a blind spot. They attached magnetic charges to the hull and withdrew silently. The explosion took out the ship's primary communications array, leaving an entire battle group without coordination. All teams execute. Her voice was calm across the encrypted channel. Across the battlefield, human special forces struck at vital targets. Command ships, sensor arrays, supply vessels. Each strike was precise, devastating, and completely unexpected. The Vargish fleet descended into chaos. Their communications were jammed by systems they could not detect. Their sensors showed ghost images and false targets. Their weapons locked onto decoys while real threats slipped past their defenses. Then the youth Indomitable arrived. Captain Jiwoo brought her ship into the heart of the battle. The Indomitable was smaller than the Vargesh flagship, but what it lacked in size, it made up for in technology and tactics. Her weapons officer targeted the enemy shield generators with pinpoint accuracy. Her pilot executed maneuvers that should have been impossible for a ship that size. Target the flagship's port engines. Jiwoo's orders came fast and precise. Fire when ready. The Indomitable's main cannons fired. The weapons used a technology the Vargish had never encountered. Projectiles that phased through shields and detonated inside the hull. Greichther's flagship shuddered as explosions rippled through its engine compartments. Evasive maneuvers. Greichther roared. Return fire. But Jiwoo was already moving. The Indomitable danced through enemy fire, always one step ahead. Her tactical display showed her everything. enemy positions, firing solutions, escape routes. She fought not with brute force, but with perfect knowledge and superior strategy. Meanwhile, Dr. Youngsu activated the Prometheus system from New Seoul. All across the star system, thousands of small drones launched from hidden bays. They were eye-controlled, each one capable of making split-second tactical decisions. The Vargesh Point defense systems, designed to track a few hundred missiles, suddenly faced 10,000 independent targets. The drones swarmed over Vargesh ships like angry insects. They did not just attack randomly. They targeted specific systems, sensor arrays, weapon mounts, communication relays. Each loss degraded the enemy's combat effectiveness a little more. Youngsu watched his displays with satisfaction. Beautiful. The system is performing exactly as designed. He spoke into his communicator. Captain Ji Woo, Prometheus is fully deployed. Enemy tactical coordination has dropped by 60%. Acknowledged, Doctor. Gi Woo's voice came back. Press the advantage. All human ships focus fire on targets marked by Prometheus drones. The Vargesh fleet was being taken apart piece by piece. Ships that had seemed invincible an hour ago now drifted helplessly, their systems destroyed by attacks they never saw coming. Greither realized too late that he had walked into a carefully planned trap at the Galactic Council. An emergency session had been called. The battle was being broadcast in real time through automated monitoring stations. Every ambassador watched in stunned silence as human forces systematically destroyed the Vargesh invasion fleet. High Counselor Thexara could barely believe what she was seeing. She had known humanity for 30 years as patient negotiators and skilled mediators. This display of military power was beyond anything she had imagined possible. Day 1 requested permission to address the council. When it was granted, he walked to the central platform with calm dignity. The desperate diplomat was gone. In his place stood something far more dangerous. Honorable members of the Galactic Council. His voice carried clearly through the chamber. For 30 years, humanity has been a member of this great assembly. We have worked tirelessly for peace. We have mediated disputes, facilitated trade, and built bridges between species. He paused, letting his words sink in. Many of you believed we chose this path because we were weak, because we lacked the strength to do otherwise. The displays behind him showed another Vargesh ship exploding. Today, we reveal the truth. We chose peace not from weakness, but from understanding. We are the descendants of warriors who fought each other for thousands of years. We built weapons that could destroy our entire world. We created machines of war so terrible that we nearly exterminated ourselves. Day 1's expression hardened. We learned the cost of endless conflict. We chose to be better, but make no mistake, his voice grew cold as steel. Choosing peace does not mean we forgot how to wage war. It means we understand war better than species who have never faced their own extinction. The chamber was absolutely silent. Every eye was fixed on the human ambassador. The Vargesh demanded war. They called us weak. They threatened our colonies, our citizens, our children. Daewon looked directly at the viewing screen showing the battle. So we gave them what they wanted. We showed them what humans really are. He turned back to the council. We are not conquerors. We do not seek to dominate others. But we will defend our people with every weapon we possess, every strategy we know, every ounce of determination that carried our species from caves to the stars. His final words rang out like thunder. You want war? Then we will bring it. And we will remind this galaxy why our ancestors learned to fear the dark at that moment. On the battlefield, Captain Ji Woo delivered the final blow. The Indomitable's weapons had systematically disabled Greither's flagship. Now the massive Vargesh vessel drifted helplessly, its engines dead, its weapons offline, its crew in panic. Ji-Woo opened a channel to the enemy ship. War Master Greither, this is Captain Ji Woo of the UES Indomitable. Your fleet is defeated. Surrender now, and we will allow you to withdraw. Continue fighting, and we will destroy every ship you have. Greither stared at the communication screen. The human captain looked back at him with eyes that held no mercy and no fear. He had underestimated them completely. His entire career, his reputation, his pride, all destroyed in less than 2 hours. We surrender. The words tasted like poison, but he had no choice. The mighty Vargish dominion had been crushed by a species they had called weak. In the council chamber, the broadcast showed Vargish ships powering down their weapons and retreating. Humanity had won, and the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The silence in the council chamber lasted for nearly a full minute. No one moved. No one spoke. They simply stared at the displays showing the remnants of the Vargish fleet limping away from human space. High Counselor Thexera was the first to break the silence. Her voice trembled slightly, something that had not happened in her 300 years of leadership. Ambassador Dewan, this council requires an explanation. You have hidden military capabilities of this magnitude for 3 decades. Why? Dewan turned to face her directly. We hid nothing, Counselor. We simply chose what to show you first. When humanity joined this council, we made a decision. We could arrive as conquerors, demanding respect through fear. Or we could arrive as partners, earning respect through contribution. He gestured to the other ambassadors. We chose partnership, but you deceived us. Another ambassador, a crystalline being named Primus Talvon, spoke up. You let us believe you were weak. Did we? Dewan raised an eyebrow. Or did you assume that because we chose diplomacy, we must be incapable of war? We never claimed to be defenseless. We simply never advertised our weapons. Velcora stood up, her mandibles clicking thoughtfully. The ambassador makes a fair point. We assumed humans were weak because they did not boast of their strength. Perhaps the failure of understanding lies with us. Thexar, a scales shifted color, sign of deep thought among her people. Very well. But this council deserves to understand what we are dealing with. Ambassador, tell us about humanity's military history. Dewan nodded slowly. What do you want to know? That humans fought each other for over 10,000 years? That we developed weapons capable of ending all life on our planet? That our wars killed hundreds of millions? Or do you want to know how we finally learned to stop? The council chamber's main display changed. It showed images from Earth's history. Ancient battles with swords and spears, medieval sieges with catapults and arrows. Then the images grew darker. Trenches filled with dead soldiers, cities reduced to rubble by bombs, mushroom clouds rising over devastated landscapes. This is who we were. Daewon's voice was heavy with old pain. We created the atomic bomb in the 20th century. For the first time in history, we could destroy ourselves completely. And we came terrifyingly close to doing exactly that. Many ambassadors looked away from the images. Some species had never experienced war on such a scale. Others had fought wars, but nothing like the industrial slaughter humans had inflicted on themselves. But we survived. Dewan continued. We learned. We created laws to limit warfare's brutality. We built international organizations to resolve disputes peacefully. We chose cooperation over competition. The images changed to show Earth in the modern era. Clean cities, peaceful borders, unified governments. It took centuries, but we did it. The capacity for war does not define us. He looked around the chamber. Our choice to pursue peace defines us. Yes, we can fight. Yes, we have devastating weapons. But we would rather negotiate. We would rather find solutions that benefit everyone. Captain Ji-woo arrived at the council station the next day. She was invited to present a detailed report on the battle. The military commanders from dozens of species crowded into the briefing room, eager to understand how humans had achieved such a decisive victory. Our success came from 3 factors. Ji-woo stood before the gathered officers with calm confidence. First, we used deception. The Vargish assumed our mining stations were harmless. They were wrong. Second, we employed superior technology in specific areas. Our weapons are designed to bypass shields that most species use. And third, an alien admiral asked, we understood our enemy better than they understood themselves. Gi-woo activated a tactical display. We studied Vargash tactics for years. We knew they relied on overwhelming force and expected enemies to break under pressure. So we gave them chaos instead of a fair fight. We struck from unexpected angles, used weapons they could not counter, and turned their own confidence against them. Colonel Hannah was also called to brief the Council on special operations. She explained human concepts of asymmetric warfare, guerrilla tactics, and psychological operations. Many species had never considered such approaches. They fought wars with honor and direct confrontation. Humans fought wars to win. We do not fight fair, Hannah said bluntly. Fair fights are for sports. War is about survival. If my soldiers can disable an enemy ship without being detected, that is the right choice. If we can win without firing a shot, even better. But is this not dishonorable? One ambassador asked. Honor does not bring dead soldiers back to life. Hannah's voice was ice cold. Our goal is to protect our people. Everything else is secondary. Dr. Young-Soo gave a presentation on human defense technology. He carefully explained some of the systems used in the battle while keeping the most advanced technologies classified. But he made one thing very clear. Humanity was willing to share defensive innovations with allies. We do not want an arms race, he told the assembled scientists and engineers. We want collective security. If sharing our technology helps prevent wars, then everyone benefits. Several species immediately requested technology sharing agreements. Others proposed joint defense initiatives. The galaxy was rapidly reorganizing itself around the new reality of human. Military power. Ambassador Velcro approached Daewon privately after one of the sessions. My friend, I must ask. If you had these capabilities all along, why did you tolerate insults and dismissive treatment from other species? Daewon smiled sadly. Because proving ourselves through violence should always be the last resort, not the first. Yes, some species looked down on us. Yes, it was frustrating. But would killing them have made things better? She clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. You could have gained respect much faster through demonstrations of force. Respect gained through fear is not real respect. It is just fear wearing a mask. We wanted genuine partnerships, not terrified subjects. The Vargash forced our hand, but we would have preferred to never reveal our military capabilities at all. 2 weeks after the battle, the Vargash Dominion sent a formal delegation to the Council. They were not the same arrogant warriors who had demanded human colonies. Their leader was a politician named Prime Minister Kolith, who came to negotiate a lasting peace treaty. War Master Grickther has been removed from command. Kolith spoke formally to the Council. His actions were reckless and brought shame to our people. We seek peace with humanity in compensation for our aggression. Daewon met with Kolith privately to discuss terms. The Vargash expected harsh punishment, perhaps even occupation of their territory. Instead, Daewon proposed something different. We do not want to conquer your worlds, Daewon said clearly. We want assurance that this will not happen again. The treaty terms were reasonable. The Vargash would pay reparations for the attempted invasion, agree to border restrictions, and establish cultural exchange programs with humanity. Kolith was surprised by the generous terms. You could demand much more. Your military defeated ours completely. We could. But what would that achieve? Daewon leaned forward. We do not want enemies. We want the Vargash to understand that cooperation benefits everyone more than conflict. Perhaps in time, our species can become allies. The treaty was signed 3 days later. High Counselor Thexara personally witnessed it. She made a formal announcement afterward. This council recognizes humanity as a Tier 1 military power. Furthermore, we invite them to join the Security Directorate as permanent members. The assembled ambassadors voted overwhelmingly in favor. Daewon accepted on behalf of Earth. But he added one final statement that would become famous across the galaxy. We have proven we can win wars. Now let us prove we can prevent them. 6 months had passed since the battle. New Seoul looked the same as it always had, with farms spreading across green valleys and cities humming with peaceful life. But something fundamental had changed. The colony was no longer just another human settlement on the edge of known space. It had become a symbol of something greater, Ambassador Day Wan stood in front of a newly constructed building on the planet's surface. The structure was designed to blend human and alien architectural styles. With curved walls and open spaces that could accommodate beings of any size or shape, above the entrance, a sign read Interspecies Military Academy. In 17 different languages, the first class of students gathered in the courtyard. There were 150 cadets from 17 different species. Some were reptilian like the Vargish, others insectoid like Velcorous people. A few were beings of pure energy contained in environmental suits. They all wore the same uniform and stood at attention as Day One prepared to speak. "Welcome to the Academy." His voice carried across the assembled students. "You come from different worlds, different cultures, different histories, but you share one goal: learning how to defend peace rather than simply wage war." A young Vargesh cadet raised his hand. "Ambassador, my people were defeated by humans. Why would you teach us your tactics and strategies? Are you not creating future enemies?" Dewan smiled. "An excellent question. We teach you because educated warriors are less likely to start unnecessary wars. Understanding how conflicts really work, seeing the true cost of combat, creates respect for peace. Besides, former enemies make the strongest allies when they learn to trust each other, Captain." Giwu walked through the Academy's Tactical Simulation Center. Her role had changed significantly since the battle. She now commanded a joint task force that included ships from 12 different species. The fleet's mission was peacekeeping and humanitarian aid. Responding to crises across the galaxy, she stood before a group of alien officers attending an advanced tactics course. On the holographic display behind her, a simulated battle played out. The students watched carefully, noting every decision, every maneuver. Notice how the defending force uses terrain to their advantage. Gi Wu pointed to the simulation. They do not try to match the attackers ship for ship. Instead, they control space, force the enemy into predictable patterns, and strike at moments of vulnerability. A crystalline officer named Primus Talvon asked, "But Captain, this seems almost unfair to the attacking force. Should warfare not have rules of honor?" Guwu turned to face him directly. "War has rules, yes. We do not target civilians. We do not use weapons of mass destruction unnecessarily. We treat prisoners humanely. But within those rules, anything that reduces casualties and achieves victory is the right choice. Fair fights are beautiful in theory, but they get soldiers killed in practice." The class continued late into the evening. These officers would return to their own fleets with new knowledge and new perspectives. They would teach others, spreading human tactical thinking throughout the galaxy. Not to create better warriors, but to create smarter ones who understood when fighting was truly necessary. Colonel Hannah was doing similar work in a different part of the Academy. She trained elite units from various species in special operations. Today's lesson focused on hostage rescue, a situation that required precision, patience, and perfect teamwork. Remember, in special operations, speed is important, but accuracy is critical. Her students, a mixed team of humans and aliens, moved through a simulated enemy facility. Every species had different strengths. The reptilians had better night vision. The insectoids could communicate silently through pheromones. Humans excelled at improvisation and tool use. By working together, they achieved what none could have accomplished alone. That was the real lesson Hannah wanted them to learn. Cooperation multiplied effectiveness more than any weapon could. Dr. Young-Soo established a research partnership with scientists from 20 different worlds. They worked in a massive laboratory complex on New Sol, developing defense technologies that would benefit the entire galactic community. The weapons they created were shared freely with allied species, but always with built-in safeguards. A Vargish scientist named Torvin worked alongside Young-Soo on a new shield system. The technology combined human phase shifting with Vargish metallurgy, creating protection that was better than either species could produce alone. "Doctor, I must admit something," Torvin said hesitantly. "When the war ended, I expected humans to treat us as slaves or destroy us completely. Your mercy surprised me. Young Su looked up from his calculations. Mercy is not weakness. It is understanding that today's enemies might be tomorrow's friends. Your people made a mistake, but that does not define you forever. What matters is what you do next. The Vargesh scientist nodded slowly. Then I will work to prove that trust was not misplaced. Ambassador, Valkyra, and Daewon met regularly to work on their joint project. A comprehensive framework for resolving galactic disputes. They sat in a quiet office overlooking New Seoul's capital city, reviewing centuries of both human and alien diplomatic history. Your species has an interesting concept called mediation. Valkyra's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Most species either negotiate directly or go to war. Having neutral third parties facilitate discussion is clever. It works because both sides feel heard. Daewon explained. Sometimes conflicts arise not from real incompatibility, but from poor communication. A good mediator helps everyone see the situation more clearly. They worked together for months, creating a system that incorporated the best practices from dozens of civilizations. When finished, it would become the new standard for the Galactic Council, potentially preventing countless future conflicts. High Counselor. This row invited Daewon to her private chambers one evening. The ancient reptilian poured a traditional beverage from her homeworld and offered him a cup. I wanted to thank you privately, she said quietly. During the war, you showed remarkable restraint. Your forces could have inflicted far greater casualties on the Vargesh. You chose not to? Daewon sipped the drink. Killing beyond what was necessary to achieve victory would have been pointless cruelty. We wanted the Vargesh to surrender, not to exterminate them. Excessive violence would have created permanent enemies, instead of potential allies. Vexara's scales shimmered with respect. Many species would not have shown such wisdom. Power often corrupts, yet humanity seems to wield it responsibly. We learned that lesson the hard way. Daewon set down his cup. Our history is full of leaders who let power corrupt them. We remember those mistakes and try not to repeat them. On New Seoul's main plaza, a memorial had been erected. It listed the names of everyone who died in the conflict, human and Vargesh alike. The inscription read simply, "Remember the cost. Choose peace." Daewon stood before the memorial during the dedication ceremony. Representatives from both species attended, many weeping for lost friends and family. A Vargesh mother whose son had died in the battle approached Daewon hesitantly. Ambassador, my son fought against your people, but you honor his memory alongside your own fallen. Why? Because he was following orders, doing what he thought was right. Daewon spoke gently. The leaders who started this war bear responsibility, not the soldiers who fought in it. Your son deserves to be remembered just as much as anyone who died that day. The mother touched the memorial stone, her scaled face. Thank you. Perhaps someday, our peoples can truly be friends. I hope so, Daewon said sincerely. That is why we built this memorial, to remember that war has costs that outlast victory. A month later, Earth broadcast a message to all human colonies across the stars. The transmission was picked up by alien listening posts and shared throughout the galaxy. The message was simple but profound. To all humanity from Earth, we have shown the galaxy our strength. We defended our people and proved that we are not weak. But strength without wisdom is just violence. Remember what defines us. Not our weapons, but our values. We choose cooperation over domination. We seek understanding over conquest. We are warriors when we must be, but we are peacemakers by choice. As the message ended, Daewon stood in the council chamber once more. This time, when he looked around at the assembled ambassadors, he saw something different in their eyes. Not pity or contempt, but genuine respect. The galaxy had learned that humanity was neither weak diplomats nor bloodthirsty conquerors. They were something far more complex and far more valuable. They were a species that understood both war and peace, and had the wisdom to choose which was needed. That balance, that restraint, that combination of strength and compassion would define humanity's role in the galaxy for generations to come.